Hello, and thanks for joining the Tuesday edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ayodele Ozubakun. Today on the program, Miyetti Allah, Emir Sanusi endorsed Ekiti anti-open grazing bill. Obasanjo under attack over memo to Buhari. And later on the program, federal government to sell all unclaimed stolen assets. I'll be hanging out with Olayinka Oyegbile, Sam Ibemere, and Wale Adedayo. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Always a pleasure to have you join us. The orgy of modern crop farmers across Nigeria by some armed headers is perhaps the biggest security threat to the country today. The problem is spreading at the speed probably that will leave Michael Schumacher gasping for breath. As different parts of the country taste the insipid dish of horror, Ekiti state government enacted an anti-open grazing law. It is about the first state in Nigeria to do so. Months after the law was enacted, Governor Ayodele Fayose brought those at the center of the issue to a round table. This effort got the buy-in not just the Emir of Kano, Alhaji Mohammed Sanusi II, but that of cattle breeders in Nigeria. Is Ekiti State setting the pace here? Let me start from you, Wale. The anti-open grazing law was enacted sometimes in, I think it's 2016 or 2015, if I'm not mistaken, making Ekiti State the first state to do that. And as at that time, we've not had, this kind of violence across the middle belt or northern parts of the country in terms of herders and farmers. Now, if Ayodele Fayose had seen this kind of breakdown of law and order in that side, would he have still gone ahead? Because what is happening now is that a lot of people are saying that no, because of the number, the herders there in Ekiti State, the numerical strength is negligible. It's not as what Governor Sam Othom will have to contend with in Benue State.
No, I think I disagree with that. Even in my hometown of Ijebu-Fe, I'm not even talking about my local government, which is Ijebu is alone. In Ijebu-Fe, at the minimum, you are looking at about between 3,000 to 5,000 headsmen there.
Did you take a head count of them? Babalawo,
See,
these people are...
at a level, if you go to where they are settled, and it's not just one, it's like a whole town on its own. It's like a completely whole town on its own. But let's go back to the Ekiti something. When you're talking about Sanusi and Miyetti Allah endorsing the open grazing bill, I think it's an insult to the legislature of Ekiti and the entire people of Ekiti State.
Why is that?
For God's sake, somebody from outside your tail coming to endorse your law. What kind of statement is that? They don't need, no, once a law is passed, it's meant for everybody to be obeyed. If you don't obey the law, there will be sanctions. End of story. I cannot imagine Yoruba hunters going up north to Sokoto to insist that they must graze, they must hunt for some animals and so on, and the state passed a law, and you invite them over to come.
That's not...
See, no, I understand what you are trying to say.
You are trying... I've not said anything.
No, I disagree.
You understand what I'm trying to say.
I understand what you are saying.
Can you read my mind?
I do, because from what you have said, the thing is, they have no business endorsing any law passed by a legitimate House of Assembly. Those are the representatives of the people. It has become law. If you cannot cope with it, then you relocate to another state or you go to jail.
We are on the same page with you.
No. It is wrong. You don't have to be on the same page with Mr. The law does not belong to Mr. Governor. The law belongs to the people of Ekiti State. It's just like saying Nigerian laws belong to Mr. President. It doesn't belong to Mr. President. He might have initiated it or whatever. Once it becomes law, it is the legislature that passes it on behalf of the people. That is the law. You need to follow the law. What is happening here is that it is the same impunity we have been talking about for long. And that is why the problem of Benue persists. There is impunity there. At a point, they were having a meeting with some people And people at that table where you have the commissioner of police, GOC of the army or some military commanders and so on, seated at the table, and somebody could still talk that his people were involved in those things because they did this to them, they did that to them. In a normal society, it is right there on the table, such people will be handcuffed. That's just it. You don't place yourself above the law. With what they have done now is like Fayose himself, who a lot of people used to respect, that look, this guy will stand up for his people. It's like he has also come down to the level of those who feel that some people are above the law. You have to appease them. It is wrong. Why should they endorse the law?
I'm sure
they don't have to.
I'm sure you're not going to follow the radical approach of Wale Adedayo in this. Okay.
Well, the first question is, which faction of Miyetti Allah endorsed,
no,
in quotes, this law?
This is the story. The former governor of Kano State,
yes,
Ibrahim Shekarau,
yes,
was representing Emir Sanusi.
I know that.
Okay.
Which Miyetti Allah faction?
That's the mainstream.
See, there are, if I'm not mistaken, there are about 2 or 3 factions of Miyetti Allah. There are those who are on the hard line. One of those he has spoken about that, look, there is no law you will make that we are going to obey as long as it doesn't go well with us. I'm living in Lagos. If there's a law in Lagos I can't cope with, I move out of Lagos. I can't tell Lagos people that this is what I want you to do. Now, the Miyetti Allah faction that is saying that they endorse this law, have they spoken with the other faction? Have they agreed? Because every day on TV, in newspapers, on radio, you read different versions of stories. That, oh, we are not going to agree. No, this is not it. This is how we are going to go about it. There is the military faction of it. And I'm sure everyone knows that. The military faction of it, not in terms of they wear military uniform. Those are, well, maybe we call them, for want of a better word, we call them the radical faction, because that's the militant faction. Because if you call them radical, you are giving a bad name to the word radical. Now, who are they to, as Wale said, to endorse the law of a state? And what is the difference between the anti-grazing law in Ekiti and the one in Benue? What is the difference? You see, the one in Benue has become that bad because it is the north. And as most people from this part of the world, of this part of the country think, when you call the north is mainly Hausa and Fulani. It is not so. But the Miyetti Allah faction or the grazer, the others there, feel more at home with those with the middle belt, in the middle belt. Because if they come to Ekiti, what will they say will be their claim to any land in Ekiti? There's no, you don't speak the same language, you don't have the same culture, you don't have the same, so how will they claim that it's just like one so-called professor who was claiming that the Benue State is already conquered by the Fulani and all that. So you find out that we must realize that every country, every state, every town has its own laws. It's either you abide by it or you leave.
At what point in time did we have difficulty between these herders and farmers? I gathered from history and I was told since the beginning of this crisis that there's always been these grazing routes, even from outside Nigeria, that goes across some West African countries. That's from Senegal, from Mali, down to Niger Republic, down to Chad, that there's always a grazing route, and these people, they've always been passing. And over the years, that why are we now making a big deal of it? At what point in time did there become a kind of disconnect between these herders and the farmers?
Well, I think you've told a bit of the history. There's that very strong narrative out there that the issue of herders, stretches beyond the boundaries of Nigeria. Some say it goes way back to, Senegal and the rest of them, and that's why we have had these skirmishes, across the entire West African zone, including, Ghana. But what is interesting about the Nigerian condition is that some people have argued that the entire, issue, bordering on herdsmen-farmer clashes, is largely a result of, climate change. The fact that is being, made is that over the years, because of changes in the climatic condition, the herders have had to come towards the southern part of the country where you have better rainfall or higher, amount of rainfall, and so the vegetation is good, for
Benue State is also
the cows
the
and all
same.
that. Yes. So naturally, there has been the tendency for them to move from areas where they have had this challenge of feeding their cows, down to the south. But the issue of the grazing routes, I'm not really very much at home with all the facts, but there is that claim, there's that narrative out there that over the years, the herdsmen and even the government at some point had agreed that the herdsmen could travel through or across some parts of the country, to graze. And that's probably why the defense minister, sometime about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I'm not so sure now, kind of spoke in a manner that a lot of people are really very disappointed with. He had said that, what do you expect? I mean, if you block the herdsmen from feeding the cows, naturally they want to react. So, and I think that gave the government a way in some sense. It's like being privy to it and supporting these, the killings that have gone on over the years. So the grazing route thing is neither here nor there as far as I'm concerned. What it's important and what the concern is for most Nigerians is that these killings have to stop. The responsibility of government is to protect lives and properties. If we have grazing routes, established grazing routes, and over the years, conditions have warranted a change, it is the responsibility of government to ensure that these things are addressed and that the issues of clashes between herdsmen and farmers are, the government tries to contend with it. It doesn't go out of hand. So what is sad, in my view, is that government over time, especially under this present administration, has, by its body language, either by its acts or given the impression that it is aware of this development and that it's almost in support of what is happening, because you have had officials of government. You have had, I was going to substantiate that. You have had the Minister of Defense say to the public that, what do you expect?
It might not be speaking the mind of Mr. President, but
he was a critical position. He was a critical position.
Now, when you look at the way forward now, we cannot tell these people, we cannot chase these herders, we cannot chase them out of the states. They must always come there, and these are nomads, and they will always go across the states and everything. And over time, they've been coexisting. How do we foster unity? Now, because to play the devil's advocate here, they will also say that they have their own bone of contention, that some of the people are killed silently, and they kill some of their cows and they kill some of their men. That's why most of the time they will have to call for reinforcement and like retaliation on assault of a kind of any community in the south or wherever they go.
You see, my own challenge is that people like yourself should help to educate the public and those illiterates who occupy government offices. Again, I'll repeat that.
I beg your pardon.
The
I beg your pardon,
illiterates
but let me just
will
take this breather. Wally, let me just take this breather. We'll take this commercial break. When we come back, we'll discuss more. If you're just joining us, this is Journalist Hangout. We'll be right back after this breather. Stay with us. Welcome back. We're still talking about the anti-grazing law enacted by Governor Ayodele Fayose in Ekiti State. Before we took that break where you explained something.
Yes. What I'm trying to say is that my colleague spoke about grazing routes. For God's sake, grazing routes from the 1920s, 1930s, 1940s. This is 2018. How many grazing routes do they have in the US, in the UK, in Canada, in Italy, and other places? How many cattle do we even have?
Okay, this is not Canada.
I read a story in Ghana recently. I think it was the chief of farming staff, or maybe the GOC of a particular region in Ghana. Anyone they see causing the kind of problem they are causing in Nigeria, he said they should shoot at sight. Whoever the person, they should just shoot at sight. That's a military commander saying that. That is not happening. Because the thing is, what you discover is that subconsciously, some people just want to cause crisis. Why must you forcefully want to come and trespass on my land? Because you want to feed your cattle. It is my land, not yours. It doesn't belong to government. It's my personal property. You want to deliberately pass over my property, claiming you are doing some business. For God's sake, it is wrong. So what I think they should be looking at up there, if they are really serious about these things, is that Ahmadu Bello University, for God's sake, is one of the best you have in Nigeria. What is it that they've been doing in Samaru? Because they have one of the best faculties of Agric among all our universities. I can even rate it ahead of all the federal universities of Agric throughout Nigeria. You mean students have not been doing projects on how to handle animal husbandry in a modern way? Even all the milk we've been wasting, people still drink wara and so on now. When they could make more money processing these things normally, you mean those things have not been done by ABU? If they've not been done, then all their professors there should be stripped of their academic qualifications. What have they come up with from there? Bayero University in Kano? Usman Fodio University in Sokoto? The thing is, you have universities in a place to solve the problems of the society. Not just at the theoretical level, but at the practical level. These are your people. These are people who come from our area. Whatever projects you are doing, not just at the undergraduate level, but majorly at the postgraduate level, because that is what happens abroad. Because when you talk about abroad, this is not America, this, for God's sake, then let's cancel the universities. What is the purpose of the university? Are you just producing administrative staff? I'm still talking about this grazing routes thing. Whoever is talking about grazing routes today, for God's sake, that person should be sent back to the Stone Age. It has nothing to do with modern animal husbandry. I saw a photograph on Facebook the other day.
If the laws are there, do you wish them away? But I think that the first thing that we should get established,
my brother, the laws are there, and people are being killed.
Active.
Destruction of properties happening. The other thing is, there was also this talk about climate change. Yeah, climate change. So how many times have cattle invaded Washington or the streets of London, or they go to Westminster because of climate change?
No, because
it is because the basic things have not been done.
Yeah.
Let there be modern methods of animal husbandry. Because, for instance, now, let me just protect my colleague. I had to call one of my colleagues in the South State. It was SA Media to one of the governors about 3-4 years back. See, a governor said he's doing empowerment for people, and he was donating hoes and cutlasses. I said, the man, is he okay upstairs? In this day that there's mechanization, and you are still giving cutlasses and hoes to farmers, for God's sake, it's the same thing we are back to when you're talking about these cattle rearers and so on. Because the reality is that, for me, I personally believe that Nigeria could make a lot of money from animal husbandry if the proper things are done, instead of wasting human lives, destroying properties, and so on. But those who are supposed to do so, Mr. President has not put the right people in capacities in the different ministries. Because for a defense minister of defense to be saying the kind of crap he was saying, that means he's not competent to be in that place. That's the truth.
The subject matter is Ekiti State anti-grazing law.
That's it. If they have things upstairs, they should do the right thing.
Mr. Adedayo, can I please moderate this? Mr. Oyegbili, now, looking at what has happened in Ekiti State, they've had one or two skirmishes
Yeah.
in those, outside Ado Ekiti that, and the 4 of these headers were actually detained, and because of the visit of the representative of the emir yesterday, they were released and everything.
they released Boko Haram people.
From the message there is that this is possible for all stakeholders to come the round table and you reach amicable resolution. And Governor Ayodele Fayose has just blazed the trail instead of spitting fire. Maybe that's why Mr. Adedayo might not be a governor.
All these things are possible. In the last 2 or 3 weeks, I've been traveling around some states in the north.
Okay. I have the Secretary General of Miyetti Allah, Usman Baba, on the phone. Many thanks for joining us, Usman.
Thank you very much. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
Go ahead with your contribution.
Yeah, I just want to make some observations.
Okay.
And correct some notions. I have been watching this program when it started.
Okay.
I had the argument about endorsement of the law.
Okay.
Even before this time, we very much know that the state law has been in existence, and we know and accepted that it has been promulgated by the body that is charged with the responsibility of making laws. So we have no problem with that law because that law is emphasizing on stopping night grazing. And we from Miyetti Allah are also against night grazing because what we discovered in the southern part of the country, this night grazing operation is causing a lot of problems to our members and the community as well. So that is why we don't have any problem with the law of Ekiti State. But it has far a lot of difference with the laws of Benue State. So these are some of the corrections I want to make. And after all, my leadership went to Ekiti to dialogue with the government on what recently took place in Ekiti. And you can see the gathering there. We have had a lot of understanding. We went to search for the missing communication link between the farmers and the pastoralists. And we thank God that it is coming our way now. There is better understanding. This is what we are trying to pass to other state governors, that let's search for the missing communication link. We are not demanding for what we are not supposed to demand. All we are saying that let the community begin to see our people as peace-loving people, as people who are there looking for practicing their businesses in their own way. And these are the same planners that we know have been staying with you for decades. They are not new, they are there.
Okay, Usman.
The same planners who understand you very well. And if you look at the residents planners,
Usman, can you hear me?
I understand it's maybe only Fulfulde and Yoruba. They are not different from those ones that you know for decades.
Usman,
so these are some of the things.
Can you hear me?
Correct.
I'm sure you are watching. What did Ayodele Fayose, what did he do that Governor Sam Othon did not do in Benue State?
Well, I will advise the contributors to have a look at the two laws. This law has a human face. The law in Ekiti has human face. Is not in any way. It's not in any way putting our members in a difficult situation. Is trying to create understanding and giving each part its own due rights and privileges. It's a law that has a human face. It's a law that we understand very well. It's a law that stops farmers from pastoralists from encroaching into farmland, and also stopping farmers from attacking pastoralists at the same time. So it has a human face. If you look at the law in Benue, try to have a look at a copy of the law, even from the definition of the law in Benue, where it says it is open grazing law. It is encouraging ranching and stopping open grazing at the same time. But see, even before the establishment of the ranches...
Do you have anything against ranching, Usman?
Hello?
Do you have anything against ranching? Are you not going to embrace the modern trend of ranching?
See, because of the growing population in the country of both human beings and animals,
okay,
the pastoralists must embrace ranching in the long run. But it is going to be a process. not something that will come immediately.
Okay, gradual
A
process.
way of life of a society. It's not like putting off a switch of light. It is something that will take place as a process. In the long run, we must embrace ranking because a fact we must accept is the population of human beings and animals are growing by the day against a static land that doesn't increase at all.
Thank you, Usman Baba. That's why there's. Thank you for your contribution. We really appreciate you for calling into the program. Then, the gentlemen, the bottom line here is that there's always two sides to any coin, and they have said, look, the grazing law of Ayodele Fayose, it's quite, encourages peace and the way we went about it and everything. Then he has said the bone of contention with what they have in Benue State. So should we advise all the governors to adopt the Ekiti model?
No. You see, I was saying that in the last 2 or 3 weeks, I've been traveling around some states in the north. And what I've seen, just as Sam has said, the result of all this problem is, the cause of all this problem is climate change, whether we agree or not. And what does this mean? Even when you look at the clip that have been shown, look, I traveled between Bauchi to Kano, to Kaduna, and the rest of them. In those days, at this time of the year, when you are traveling, even though most of the grass might not be too green, but you will not be able to see from far off. But this time, everywhere is brown. Everywhere is brown, and the ground is level. You can see for as many miles as possible.
So the headers will have to feed.
Exactly. So they will have to come south. Benue State, as we all know, is called the breadbasket of Nigeria. So the fertile land there is part of what they will have to come to feed their animals.
Okay.
But we must be able to make sure that they embrace the law that has been. The two states cannot make the same kind of law. Ekiti is in the south, Benue is in the north central. So the law in Benue cannot be the same thing as the law in Ekiti because the threats are different.
Now, Usman is saying that, look, they are open to negotiation.
Yeah.
Round table. And that is, there are also stakeholders here.
Yeah.
This is one Nigeria.
Yes.
As far as we're in the same country, forget south and west, forget the north.
Yes.
They are also, we eat the meat, we eat the end product of this thing. So, conflict resolution.
Yeah, there's an interesting thing about conflict resolution. I'm glad you used the word conflict resolution. If you have to come to the table, you have to come from a position of strength. Governor Ayodele Fayose has come from a position of strength. And that is why you have this semblance of, let's talk. There are no pretensions. In words, in deeds, in action. He had shown that as a governor, as a leader, he was willing and ready to protect his people. His moves were very clear. So that there's a conversation going on.
I agree with that.
Is because this governor has declared very openly that I am here to defend the interest of my people. It's good that we have these conversations, but there is a lot of politics going on. The sad thing is that the same people who try to muddy the waters are the same people who want to create an atmosphere of peace.
Finally, quickly, your contribution to this.
No, I just want to respond to his trip to the
I
north.
expected you to respond to what Usman said.
No, what Usman said, it has to do with what he said as well. Because I want to agree with Sam that Fayose is negotiating from a position of strength. The only challenge I have is with some people coming down to come and endorse whatever law Ekiti State House of Assembly has passed. That I will never agree with. But Fayose has done very well for Ekiti and indeed for Yoruba land in standing up that, look, you mess up, we'll take care of you, end of story. But the thing is, talking about all these brown places you are talking about, it is not necessarily because of climate change. It is because of planlessness of their leaders. They had no vision. Because years ago, even right from the time of President Shehu Shagari, you were talking about tree planting and so on. It's been on in Nigeria for more than 20, 30 years. What are the plans they had on ground? They didn't have nothing. All the money they were supposed to use for those things, some people have chopped the money. They never calculated for their people tomorrow. When leaders are there and they are not thinking about what will happen to their people tomorrow, this is the kind of thing you get. And then you want to push the problems to others. No, you should.
Thank you, Wale. We have to take this break, and we have to correct that impression that the leaders they have no vision.
No, that's what has happened.
It's your personal
opinion. Look at how much is all over the place. Students not going to school.
I will not,
they were getting money, federal budgets and so on.
Wale, I will not tolerate that kind of language.
No problem.
So we take this breather. When we return, we'll talk more. When we return, Obasanjo comes under heavy attack over his memo to President Buhari. Stay with us. It's Journalist Hangouts. Welcome back. The beauty of Journalist Hangouts is that the debates will still go on even after the break, and we can feel the heat and excitement in the studio, and Wale is not making my job easy. Anyway. Now, the former President Olusegun Obasanjo is a man of many sides. His letter-writing side is perhaps the most fearful part of him, since he generously advised President Muhammadu Buhari against seeking re-election. In a famed open letter, the elder statesman has remained in national discourse. But when many had thought that events are fast overtaking the dust raised by his letter, a former governor of Nasarawa State, now a 7th senator, Abdullahi Adamu, took him to the cleaners. He said Obasanjo's statement is in bad taste, aimed at destroying President Muhammadu Buhari politically. Is this senator saying anything new? Let me start from you, Yinka. Let's trace the antecedent of the former governor of Nasarawa State, Abdullahi Adamu. You see, he was one of those that spearheaded the third time projects. I've seen a video of Abdullahi Adamu saying that he has no regrets whatsoever of spearheading that project, that he wished that project had succeeded. So, very close to Olusegun Obasanjo then. At what point in time did, this point of departure?
When you are in power, you have many friends because you can do and undo. He was close to Obasanjo because Obasanjo was in power. Obasanjo is no longer there. President Buhari is there now, and he knows that if he supports former president's letter, he might be in for it. But just to lay that emphasis first, now, that video that you spoke about, I want to ask each and every one of us as Nigerians to go and Google it and watch it. The reason why I'm saying that is this. He is one of the prime movers of it, and he said that each of the members of the National Assembly that supported the move got 50 million naira. He is a supporter. He got 50 million.
Substantiating.
Exactly. So he got 50 million naira.
That's on mobilization.
Now, if EFCC will do his job as it's supposed to be done, that man should have been arrested by now.
Because he was also calling for Obasanjo's arrest.
Because, one, he has confessed in that video that he supported it, and he said, not that he was quoted as saying, he said it himself that everyone that supported that move got 50 million naira each. So he should be in detention by now. As he is calling for Obasanjo's either to be in detention or under probe because of alibotin and Siemens and all those things. The truth of the matter is that all these people, whatever it is they are doing, they are not doing it for you and I.
They don't care about us.
They are doing it for their own personal selfish reasons. That is why when I see people fighting and killing themselves over politicians, I weep for them. These people their children are not here. Or if their children are here, they are somewhere
Comfortable environment.
very comfortable. And then myself or my children will come out and fight for these people. This man, in fact, if the chairman of EFCC is watching, that is the first task that he should do if he has not done it now.
Actually,
this man
is not enjoying any immunity as a senator.
Exactly. This man should be arrested. He collected 50 million.
Yeah.
Sam, this is...
Yeah, I guess the summary of what has been said is that this is a signpost of bread and butter politics. No more, no less. He's fair weather. I mean, when it suits him, to swing right, he will swing right. When it suits him, when it's time to swing left, he swings left. And he has not done Mr. President any good by admitting, I don't want to use, such very harsh words, but we need to deal with very clever people. I mean, why would you admit indirectly that Mr. President has been selective in the way he has applied the concept of justice? That's what he has said without knowing it. That in fact, if he hadn't been for the selective measures...
No, he said it.
No,
he
that
said
that's exactly where I'm going. Yeah,
If
you understand?
Obasanjo will have been in detention by now.
Exactly. That's my worry. If you know what I'm constrained, but then we expect much more from our leaders.
Thank you. Thank you for being constrained. Thank you for,
it's sad, really.
Keeping
but he has put the president in very bad light.
Gentlemen.
No, for me, I'll go biblical. My friends call me man of God. You see, if we are to follow the narratives of the people abusing former President Olusegun Obasanjo for writing that letter to President Muhammadu Buhari, then every portion of the New Testament written by Apostle Paul should be removed completely. Because if you know Paul's background, how he hated the followers of Jesus Christ, how he was even there when Apostle Stephen was being stoned to death. If I've not forgotten what I read then, he even he helped them to carry the clothes of one of those who were stoning the guy to death. For God's sake, there can be a Damascus experience. Me, that I'm talking, I'm not a saint. I have my bad sides. But for me, using the biblical thing, if you go through the Grail message, the Grail will tell you that gold remains gold, even if it's in the hands of a pig or a leper. A leper is holding pure gold. And you say because the person is a leper, you won't touch it. Meanwhile, you need money. If you sell that gold, you make money, good money for yourself. And then because the gold is in the hand of a leper, you need to look at the message, not necessarily the messenger. What former President Olusegun Obasanjo wrote, in what way is it different from what the First Lady, fantastic woman, that is a woman I love to beat, fantastic woman wrote? I said not once, not twice. In what way has it been different? In what way is what Obasanjo wrote different from what Pastor Bakare wrote about? In what way is it different from what Professor Wole Soyinka has been talking about? Oh, because it's Obasanjo that said it, so nobody should listen. For God's sake, it's like you're just burying your head in the sand, and meanwhile your ass is out there. So for me, I'll go with that thing. Gold remains gold, even if it's in the hands of a leper. You cannot say gold is no longer gold because it's a leper that is holding it. So for me, like my colleague rightly said, Adamu is looking for relevance. He wants to be in the good books of Mr. President. But at a PR level, if I'm a Femi additional, I'll just minute to my principal. You should run away from this man. He indicted you in what he said. Because he said you are selective in your campaign against corruption, that you have not tackled some people who are corrupt. That means indirectly that you yourself, you are stained, you are tainted.
That's true.
You are not Mr. Anti-Corruption. That is the summary of everything that Adamu is saying. That's the whole summary. To me, he indicted Mr. President more than he indicted Obasanjo. And apart from that, I also agree with the fact that Magu might need to pay a visit to him or send his boys to him to come and explain some things. After all, he doesn't have immunity. No. Where is our 50 million? Because I'm sure that he was a coordinator.
There must be interest on it now. How many years now?
No, apart from that,
honestly, it was 50 million was a big money that time.
Beyond interest, coordinators don't collect the same amount of money as the people they are giving.
Exactly.
Coordinators will get more.
Of course.
Where the others there? So you can't just be sitting on 50 million. But on a more serious note, I think the man is just he's just seeking relevance. That's just it.
When you want to now look at the flip side of what Wale is saying, and the bottom line is that Olusegun Obasanjo has said his own.
Yes.
He expected backlash. He has said his own, and moving forward now, those things he has said, and after the reactions that the letter might have generated, even General Babangida also came out with his own version of his own and everything, and started this movement, this coalition movement. I don't know how that movement will fly, but I asked this question that this person is saying, Mr. President, don't contest PDP. Labour Party, Mr. President, don't contest. Coalition, Mr. President, don't contest. And nobody has told us that, okay, the alternative we have 1 year to our election. And instead of Mr. President, we'll meet at the field. Nobody is saying, I'm going to confront Mr. President on the field and we'll slug it out.
Well, who said it? Was it?
Okay, let me take Yusuf. Yusuf is calling us from Plateau State. Thank you for joining us, Yusuf.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Yusuf.
Thank you for your good job you are doing there.
Thank you, Yusuf.
Please, what of today is not around today.
Babajide is on official assignment. He's going to join us sometime this week.
I don't want to reply Mr. Olayinka there.
Okay.
Traveling to North, once go to Bauchi, Yobe, all these places that don't make you to talk the story of the North.
I was born in the North and I schooled in the North.
Excuse me, please. I'm a Yoruba man like himself.
Yes, I've lived in the North for more than 35 years before I came to Lagos.
I've been here for 40 years now.
Okay.
I'm in the North here. So, issue of North. When you are in Lagos there, I'm only asking to suggest what is happening, not to have confirmed there. Hello?
Go on.
And secondly, we all love this program. Okay. But when you are analyzing the issue of this letter, I expect you to touch the bad side of just 2 letters. You shouldn't take sides because of Clinton since Clinton left power, he have never destroyed America. So Obasanjo is an elderly man. He should behave as an elderly man too. Not everything elderly man see and talk. He should behave as a Yoruba man. Not every clothes you dry on in the sun. Please, when you are analyzing with respect your program, always be balanced your analysis. Thank you.
Thank you, Yusuf. That's the beauty of this program. Sometimes you go to the left, people will tell you, why are you not in the right? Sometimes you want to stand in the middle. Well, Mr. Yusuf, if you've been watching Journalist Hangout, you will attest to it that, look, it's a very, very balanced program. And you can just don't worry about your fellow Yoruba man from Plateau State, Yusuf, that has been in the North for 40 years, and you 35 years. But thank you, Yusuf, for calling in. Thank you for expressing your opinion. Now, when you want to look at it, you were saying something before Yusuf called in.
Yeah. We are wondering that no one has come out to say he's going to contest against the president.
Yes.
One American politician said that 1 day in politics is a long time. I don't think it is late. I don't think it is too early. I'm sure someone will come out. Whether it will have the cloud to match that of the president is another thing.
Okay.
That's what we should just...
As a way of addendum, former governor of Jigawa State, Sule Lamido, actually declared last weekend. So Sule Lamido, we know him.
Yeah.
He wants to be the candidate of the People's Democratic Party. He's the founding member of the People's Democratic Party.
There's a social media campaign going on right now for Senator David Mark.
Yes,
I saw
but I've
that.
not confirmed that. Anything on the social media could be planted.
I think
but we're waiting for...
Article 2 has made his...
Yes. Okay. Okay. Let's see. We are waiting for Senator Bonaventure David Mark to officially, you know,
either acknowledge or deny.
No. My brother David Mark should be one of the best because, you know, he said telephone is not meant for the poor. So I'll support him.
Really?
When he was Minister of Communications, we said telephone is not meant for the poor.
But the poor are using the phone now.
That's after he left.
So, talking about the politics of 2019 now, and people they're just marking time, and it's like everybody is chilling, and even Mr. President has not told anybody that he's going to contest for, the election. And every day, what I do, there's this INEC timetable very close to my cupboard, and I look at it. Okay, Ekiti State. I look at it. Osun State. Notice of election, the time they are giving, the time lag and everything. But the frenzy, the euphoria, gentlemen, and the people that will lead us. And Nigerians are saying that, look, they might not do what they did in 2015, that they will have to properly scrutinize whoever want to be their leader.
No, I don't think that. Let's take it from the line of the president that maybe the president has not declared that he's going to seek re-election. One fantastic thing, though a lot of people are against it. One fantastic thing.
Well, let me just take Umar. Umar is calling us from Nasarawa State. Thank you for joining us, Umar.
Thank you, sir.
Go ahead with your contribution, Umar.
Yes, I have been trying to link with your program for quite some time now, but I couldn't get.
Thank God you are getting through today, Umar.
So I am happy that I'm able to get you today.
I'm happy for you too, Umar.
Yes. Quickly, what I want to contribute is that the program is very good, but try to make it reach as the one in UK Hangout.
Okay.
So the UK Hangout, the difference between the UK Hangout and the one you are holding now is that they are cautious and, they exercise doctrine in trying to accuse our leaders. There are certain words you people use that is not palatable. It's an international program. So we should try as much as possible to be cautious. Okay. We should respect people in the authority.
Okay.
On the issue of the law in Benue and that of Ekiti, the difference is that the Ekiti man invited the Fulani, at the early stage at the House of Assembly. They made their own contribution. But in Benue and Taraba, they were not given that chance.
That's not correct.
So the law was just made.
They were invited, but they did not attend the public hearing in Benue State. That I know.
There are certain ways you can be able to at least pacify people,
have to go
agree with what we are doing. Because the Fulani people have been in Benue for quite some time now, for decades. So at least you should be able to at least see reason why you should pacify them to buy into the program and not do something that will appear as if you don't want to see them in your territory at all.
Thank you, Umar. Thank you for your contribution. That's the beauty of this program. I like and I appreciate what Umar just said. Thank you, Umar.
Moving forward towards the 2019 presidential election we were discussing before, I said one fantastic thing Mr. President has done, despite the fact that he has not declared, is picking Ashwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu to head the reconciliation committee, if I may put it that way, of the APC. Because what you discover is that, in a way, despite the challenges PDP has, a PDP should just put forward somebody with enough clout, with enough goodwill across board. I have no doubt in my mind that what happened to Jonathan in 2015 will happen to Buhari in 2019. Because the APC is so fractured now all over. There's hardly a state in any of the 36 states, including the FCT, that you don't have, people fighting among themselves within the ruling party. So that's putting the right foot forward. They should have done that since last year. But coming at this time, I think that's a fantastic move. But going back to the main point itself, the fact that there's a lot of misgivings about Mr. President right now. I mean, if we should declare on what basis, just fighting corruption, insecurity, or what? Is it education? Is it the Naira value? Naira has been devalued unofficially maybe twice or 3 times now. A lot of people are not happy. On what basis are you going to
There's recorded some strides in agriculture, recorded some strides in some other sector.
That needs to be reflected in the lives of the people. The people need to appreciate that. The people once they appreciate that, then you can use that as a campaign. This is not what you are pushing out there. It is what the people are saying.
We're doing 7,000 megawatts right now.
I'm talking about what the people feel out there, not what the government is saying. It's not the government that will say it.
I don't have light in my house for how many days now? What megawatts are you talking about?
We're having problem with distribution.
What I'm saying is this. The thing is like at a 50-50 level. The opposition is scared, is divided.
Yeah.
The ruling party is scared, is also divided.
Uncertainty.
So there is uncertainty on both sides. On the side of Mr. President and his ruling party, and on the side of the opposition and the ruling party. How I wish that this reconciliation thing would have happened before Alhaji Atiku Abubakar moved. I mean, that would have been fantastic. And even before the committee thing was announced, a number of key legislators in the National Assembly have also been making moves to move to the other side. Like I said earlier, it's a fantastic one, but if I were in Ashwaju's shoes, there are some conditions I would have put on the table. Mr. President, you need to meet these terms before I accept that.
That's why you are not on the show.
But by and large, I think the challenges are not just for Mr. President alone or the ruling party. It also affects the PDP. Because we are accusing APC of a lot of things. They've not done this, they've not done that. Who is the person you want to push forward in PDP that will not be able to say, oh, this one? I mean, I just mentioned one about David Mark now. Who is it that is coming from the PDP that, I mean, will not be able to say, oh, this one, he did this at this time, he did this at this time, he did this at this time, and all those ones are negative.
Okay, let me quickly take Ngozi. Ngozi is calling from Abuja. Thank you for joining us, Ngozi.
Thank you. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening. Good evening.
Yes. Please, my little contribution towards this program.
All right, ma'am.
Yes. Is the issue of herdsmen a problem? I own a farm in Abuja here where I planted over 1,000 seedlings of palm tree. And in the night, they went and cleared it and left nothing there. That is in Abuja we are talking about right now.
FCT.
How do you expect somebody in Benga that goes into the bush, relocates completely, and farm the land to bring out the food? And you expect the person, after struggling to doing all that, and somebody just carry the cattle and go in. I'll give you an example. Egypt is a desert, but you will never see a cow on the street, and that is a desert. All the irrigation farming is in the north. What stops them from planting the grass for them to eat? For God's sake, let us not add sentiment to these things. Please, let there be a place, colony, whatever name they want to give it, let them give it. Because they are hurting people. People are angry. I am angry because I went to Naifo, got a 1,000 of palm trees, planted it, expecting to reap it one day, and somebody just goes in there and clear it, and they expect me to be happy to give me my land.
I'm sorry about that. Our time is fast spent. So sorry about that, Ngozi. It could be. It's very sad. Sam has reached home stretch on this.
Yeah. Talking about our politics and the excitement, we all hope for. I think there's a flip side to it, and that flip side is that the politicians who are supposed to be our leaders appear to have abandoned the business of governance in the name of preparing for 2019. And I think that is pretty very sad. It's sad that the lead appears to have been taken by Mr. President himself, and so there's no governance going on anywhere. And that hurts. It hurts in the sense that there's a lot of distraction. There's lack of focus.
Sam, thank you. Thank you for that, Yinka.
The president is visiting Adamawa. He has visited Nasarawa State, Benue State, that is badly affected. He has not visited. This is not good.
Sam Bema, I want to thank you for your quality contribution. Yinka Igule, thank you. Wale Adedayo, thank you. And that's it on Journalist Hangout. Join us tomorrow for another interesting episode of the program. You can watch the repeat tonight at 11. You can also watch Journalist Hangout on our other platforms showing on the screen. You can also catch us on YouTube. That's youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalist Hangout at tvcnews.tv. I'm Ayodele Ozubakun. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.